Good morning, Lowestoft. This is Esther checking in on behalf of the Chaplaincy team for our Monday 10:30-ish chat, ramble, exploring what's going on in life, the universe, everything, our emotional reactions to stuff, our spiritual path, all the stuff that's going on as we are coming out of lockdown. And the shops are open today. Today's a day where you can finally go to any shop. Woohoo! Makes seems to make a massive difference. I don't know if it actually does, but things are emerging, aren't they? So let's see how it goes today. Let me know how you are if you're listening. How's your weekend been? What's been going on? It's sunny here. It's a nice day. We've had a pretty chilled weekend, but I have to say, like, the news over the weekend's been a bit mad, hasn't it? Like, there's still loads of injustice just really in our faces at the minute. Like, it's been the anniversary of Grenfell. We've still got Black Lives Matter protests going on, and now we've got the opposite. We've got like Nazi salutes in front of war memorials and things like that. There's been massive arguments on the Facebook pages that I've been part of. It's really volatile. Lots of people on all sides of arguments really cross, really feeling injustice, really feeling got at and misunderstood, and I'm not sure what to do. It's an interesting time, isn't it? Knowing how to respond. And Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about a story this morning. I think I have to say I don't have this fully prepped in my head. It's been, again, we've been a bit on the slow this morning. I'm going to bring you a sort of muddled little thought this morning. There's someone pointed it out to me yesterday and I wanted to share it. It's about a man called Jonah, and it's about the direction of his life. It's about him running away from what he's called to do and how he eventually comes around, which maybe might be the story for all of us. But I sort of thought it might be good this morning because there's a lot going on that's challenging our paths and our journeys and what we're doing, and I think sometimes we need to explore it a little bit more. So this story's in the Jesus tradition. Like, that's where I'm always going back to refer, because I follow a Jesus path, and this is one of those stories where it's like, is it myth? Did it actually happen? Is it a legend? Don't really care at all, really, because legends are really infused with truth, and it's been recorded in the Bible because it had loads to say to us about life. So Jonah is a bloke in a particular time who hears a purpose for his life. You know, like, he believes in Yahweh, the divine creator, the one who holds everything together. Like, you might have a spiritual path. Jonah's spiritual path, he connected with the creator, and he hears, like, in his spirit, in his gut, in his head, who knows, like, an instruction. And the instruction starts off by saying, get up and go. Get up and go. Like, and I read that and I just thought, you know what, I think my get up and go has got up and gone. Like, I just don't really feel it at the minute. Like, I feel like I'm in the middle of really caring about something and really passionately wanting to do stuff, but also just feeling really tired and like my head's fuzzy and I'm a bit confused and I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but I think that's trauma. Do you know what I mean? I think that's like the physiological effects of like being in lockdown and coming out of it and trying to process. Like, I want to do stuff, but I also just want to watch Netflix. It's also like confused routines and trying to sort ourselves out. There's all of that mixed in, isn't there? But I don't know if you have ever like felt in your gut, or you do at the minute, like something has got to change. Something's got to change, like that you're now needing to move on to something new in yourself, something new in who you are. Do you ever feel like that bubble of excitement because what you've just discovered, that voice you've just heard, that thing in your gut, that talent you've just explored, that course you've just gone on, that page that you've just read, just resonates in you in a really deep way, and you're supposed to do that. Like, has anybody ever had that experience? You're supposed to do that. Like, everything in you goes, yes, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, sometimes we wonder about is there an abstract God? Is there a close God? Like, is there a God at all? Like, if there is, how do you communicate? Like, that feeling of, yes, I was made for this. That's the voice of God directing you, you know. That's the voice when you come in harmony with your purpose and what you're here for. Then you know. Do you know what I mean? And that can be in really small and big ways. But Jonah, so in this story, back to Jonah, he hears that direction, you know, he hears there's a sense of something for you to do. And it says to him, get up and go, like, get off your butt, stop watching Netflix, stop being self-pitying, stop being stuck in the place that you are, because we tend to like that, don't we? Stop being where it's easy. And it tells him to go to a place called Nineveh and announce judgment on it. That sounds a bit harsh, so I just want to sort of unpack that. Nineveh was a superpower, right? The biggest threat to Jonah's people. I suppose it's a bit like someone from Afghanistan being told to go to America, to Washington, and to announce that God is furious with America. Imagine it. Or like a black woman at the minute heading to a white supremacist group to announce judgment on them. Or like a lone Grenfell survivor protesting at Parliament. This is like going to the place that has power over you, that is abusive, that is controlling, that is damaging. Like, this superpower was violent and aggressive, taking over people's countries and just slaughtering people. Yeah. So Jonah's call from God is to go to people that he would hate, that he would despise, that his worldview would say have nothing to do with them. Like, they're just the worst. Yeah. And he's told to go and tell them that God is cross with them. Like, sometimes we wonder, don't we, I think, why evil is allowed in the world. Like, we have this debate. Even if we don't believe in a God, we get cross at whatever higher power there is that we don't believe in for not stopping evil and abuse. But what we see, I think, in this story is God is a God of justice. Yeah, like, he stands against evil, he stands against racism, he stands against selfishness, like that selfishness in you that threatens to take over. He stands against that. He stands against the abuse that you've suffered, against dictators in countries. He stands against empire that's abusive. He stands against people being made to feel powerless. Like, the Jesus tradition is all about the goodness in the world, the divine in the world, standing against what is evil and what is wrong. But it appears that he works his goodness and his stand against it so often through us. Like, people say, like, what is it to be a Jesus follower? Actually, it's to realise that it's not all about me, and that I'm called to be part of something bigger and to bring the kingdom of love and goodness and eternity now. Where there's destruction and evil. So that is what God calls Jonah to do, to go to Nineveh, because they are an evil, corrupt lot of people, an empire that is just damaging, and he has to go and tell them that judgment is coming. It's like, I mean, I don't even have the equivalent for me. Do you know what I mean? But do I even be bothered to stand up to my MP because he can vote in Parliament about something I'm passionate about? Do I write those letters? Do I contact him? Like, do I use my money to fight injustice, or do I just keep it, now the shops are open, I'm just going to buy stuff again? Do I volunteer to help those in addiction who've been abused, who are homeless, who are struggling? Do I actually protest against the global patterns of injustice, even if it means I have to look at myself really hardly, really well even? Yeah, it makes you think. I think it makes you think. And it sounds like maybe Jonah, I don't know, you might think Jonah should have just gone, yes, do you know what, I am going to go and I'm going to stand against these people, I'm going to make my stand. And obviously this is a story in the Bible, and Jonah is a good boy, so he just gets up and he goes to Nineveh and he tells them that they are corrupt and evil and need to change. No, he doesn't. He runs away. He totally bottles it and says he's not going to do that, and he just bolts. He runs away. And I love Jonah for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he should do that, but don't you find in life that you just so often just want to run away? Like, it's just hard. It's hard to follow your path. It's hard to follow what you know you've been called to do. It's really hard to stand up against injustices. It's hard when your get up and go is gone and you're insecure and you don't know and you're just one person and you're being called to make change. You know, it's really hard. It's really hard. And I think we all understand Jonah's wanting to run away. Yeah, and we all run away, don't we? We run away. We run away from ourselves. We run away from our responsibilities. And we run away from the path that is put before us. Like, again, what does it mean to be a Jesus follower? It means to be in harmony with God, in constant contact, so you know what your path is and you're working it out with him as you go. But I just still think, like Jonah, sometimes we just bolt, don't we? Because it's really tough. It takes courage, doesn't it, to get up and stand against something. It takes courage to stand up against racism at the minute. It takes courage to be creative in how we respond to it. It takes courage to stand with the people of Grenville and all the other thousands of people still living with dangerous cladding over their buildings. It takes courage to say something isn't right, doesn't it? It's easy and to do something about it. Like, I think we can all sit safely at home and put obnoxious comments on Facebook or even helpful comments, but that's not doing anything. That's not doing anything. That's just venting on social media. Like, well done you. Your call is to act and to be the change. Yeah. It's also Jonah's reason, I think, as well, for running is that he knows something about God that maybe he doesn't like at this moment. Like, he knows God is just. He knows God stands against evil. He knows God is against it because God is the source of goodness. But he also knows from his experience that there's a God, that God is merciful, that God is loving, that God is a God of second chances, that God is the God of restoration and hope and forgiveness and change and new life. So he knows that when he goes to Nineveh and says to them, you are evil, you are corrupt, you are keeping people under empire, you are racist, you are violent, you are selfish. He knows that if they go, oh my goodness, you're right, I need to change, that God is going to go, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about change. I'm talking about a second chance. I'm talking about new life. I'm talking about people completely turning away from the crap that they're involved in and finding something new. He knows that. And he doesn't feel loving towards these people. So he doesn't want to do that. Yeah. And I think we get that as well, don't we? Like, at the minute, it's really, really easy to judge everybody. Like, you may think Black Lives Matters is really important and you may have a lot to say about the people that don't agree. Yeah. And God says, I do hold people accountable, but also I am open to change. And I want people to change and to grow and to find love and acceptance and to be restored. This is not just about slagging people off. You may have the opposite view. You may think it's not Black Lives Matter, it's all lives matter, and you may be sick of all the rest. I tell you what, let's all stop pronouncing judgment only. Let's start looking for creative ways to respond and restore and love and accept, because that's what God is in the business of doing. He will stand against the evil and he will call us to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, when he always gives people an opportunity to turn from what is wrong. And I think that's what he does in us as well. It's like, it's not like a national thing. It's really personal, you know, like, looking at the flaws in yourself and not just pronouncing judgment, but also seeing that God wants to restore you where you're broken, you know, where you just don't know who you are, where, like Jonah, you are running away because you don't know. Do you know what I mean? You don't know because life is hard and it's tricky and the path is rocky and we all make mistakes. Like, it's inviting God back into that and saying, I want to change. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be lost in it. I want to have a sense of who I am and I want to be restored. So the story of Jonah I'm going to come back to on Wednesday because it's a really good one. But what happens is Jonah runs away and he ends up getting on a boat and sailing out to sea. Like, he's gone. He is serious about he is not doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, think of the lengths that you have gone to in the past, not to be known, not to be seen, not to be accepted, to go and do your own thing and sod everybody else. Like, we've all been there. This is what Jonah is up to. And he ends up in a storm, like actual storm. Like, because when you run away from the purpose that there is for you, it's never going to be a good path, you know? It's never going to be a good path. If you are on the Jesus path, we just think, do you know what, you are created for a reason. You're not here by accident. You're here to partner with the Creator, to keep bringing goodness and life and wholeness. You're to do that for your kids, for your family, to the people that you can't stand, for yourself. But when we run away with that, we just live in a storm, and we see it worldwide, don't we? It's just a storm. It's just a storm. But the good thing is that God meets Jonah in the storm, and I think I'm going to come back to that on Wednesday, like what it looks like for Jonah when he's met in the storm and he realises that he is running away. So I guess my thought for today is are you like Jonah? Like, how much are you just running from the get up and go that you have been called to do? Like, when you find that thing that is good and is beautiful and it resonates and it's life-giving for you and for other people, don't run from it. Like, the sludge, if I'm just going to sit on the sofa and I'm not going to bother, like, don't run from it. Don't run from it. Find your purpose. Like, God has that purpose for you. Don't believe in God. I believe in God for you. You know what I mean? Like, the source of goodness, the source of life. When you find that, run with it. Don't be like Jonah. But also, let's not be like Jonah in the sense of we want to just pronounce judgment on everybody, because they're all terrible. Like, it is legitimate that there's people that you can't stand. It's legitimate that you respond in a certain way to people that have been so harsh and caused you so much pain, or globally at the minute are speaking in ways that cause you so much pain. Of course you want judgment, of course you do. And this story says, you know what, God uses us to fight against evil, to fight against what is wrong, to stand up against what is wrong, but he also is the God of restoring. So let's not go around just slagging off everybody. Let's restore. Let's be saying, God, show me. Just show me what restoring looks like. Help me do it, because naturally I just want to judge people and slam them because they don't see the world how I do. There's this nice phrase that says, how about we just act justly, we love mercy, and we walk humbly with God. And it sort of sums up life, I think. Let's just act justly ourselves. But also within that, let's love mercy. Because without mercy, we can become tyrants too, can't we? And then let's just be humble. Let's just walk humbly, realising you're not the creator. You're not the one who holds it all together. So stop thinking that you are. Let's act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. And I think we might return to Jonah on Wednesday just to see what happens to Jonah as he runs away, he gets stuck in a storm and he meets God again. So may you today be found in your get up and go or in your lack of it. May you know that God meets you there. May you know that the one who holds it all together has plans for you. May you know that what it means to walk with Jesus is to bring a kingdom of life and restoration in the world. May you know something of what that means. May you know what it means to stand against justice, but also to be able to love and be merciful towards people you disagree with. May you know what it means to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. Take care, Lowestoft, and I will see you on Wednesday. Okay, bye.